What's going on, everybody? This is BroncoJuggalo, and it is Slashback Saturday. And today's Slashback challenge is unrestricted slashers. Basically, anything not rated R. Now, guys, I gotta say, I feel like I'm going the lazy way here. I tried to think of something different, and I thought about doing another movie, but I don't want to do that movie yet, so I'm not gonna go there. And then I thought about something else, but I had already done that movie. And I think that the horror man is doing the movie I'm thinking he's going to do. Did that make sense? I know what Joe's doing. He didn't tell me, but I know. So guys, like I said, I took the lazy way. I went with an independent film. 9 times out of 10, your independent horror films are going to be unrated. And this one is. It's from the Wild Eye, Raw and Extreme line. And it is The Streets Run Red. Now, this is a 2017 film that got its Wild Eye release in 2020. It was directed by Paul Michelarni, and it has a host of people in it, including some horror alumnus: Tony Moran, Susie Lorraine, and Lloyd Kaufman. And playing our killer and main character Alex is Dimitri Papadinas. Things that I really enjoy about this film are the fact that it's an African-American lead as the serial killer. That's something you don't see a lot, and I think that's pretty cool. I like it when things do things like that, or when we have a female serial killer. It's just something you don't see a lot in these films. We got Candyman, of course, and a couple others, but there's not a whole bunch of them. So, Bones, things like that. And a lot of those are kind of also like, horror hood films. So when there's a African American person playing the serial killer, or the slasher in this case, it is a really cool thing in my opinion. Especially if they do a really good job like this gentleman did. 2 cops are tracking the Kubrick Killer, so named because he displays his bodies to model after famous films, mostly Kubrick films. Surprise when he drops right into their lap, and they don't even know that they have him. Guys, I gotta tell you, this is some sick shit right here. This movie really is raw and extreme and unrated. I felt like after watching it, my soul needed a cleanse. This is an extreme film. I don't know if it's as extreme as Rick likes, and honestly, for me, most of the extreme stuff comes from the sex type stuff in it. I didn't need to see a lot of that, but that's okay. It didn't turn me away from the film, so it's cool. But I was not, honestly, this movie did what it was supposed to do. It really fucking, unnerved. But it was also a lot of fun. I know I'm a weird sick fuck, ain't I? I only had one con, guys, and that's that the gore sound effects were too loud. I don't think they needed all that, because it's very much that, zombie munching sound almost, or like that, like when he's digging around in somebody's body parts. And I just didn't think it needed to be as loud as it was. I thought it was just a little overbearing, and I thought that if they would have been a little quieter with it, a little more subtle, it would have gotten, it would have came across a little better. I think that it would have been even more unnerving if it was subtle instead of so loud that it sounded recorded. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you do, but you know what I'm saying. Starting with pros, guys, the gore effects, they were low budget, but they were decent. There was a couple times where you could tell that it was a little stiff, and you could definitely tell it was a fake body they were playing with. But there's one scene in particular I want to call the coal scene. And in the coal scene, that shit was pretty fucking convincing. They did a really good job on that scene. And I don't want to give it all away, so I want you to go watch the movie for yourself if you choose to watch this kind of movie. If you don't choose to watch this kind of movie, maybe you can hit me up, I'll let you know. I like the premise of the film. I like that we had this serial killer, we had this slasher, who arranged his bodies in a cinema-style fashion. But it was done cleanly, it was done with art. And it really reminded me of the splayed cop in Silence of the Lambs, and also in the way the Hannibal TV show had bodies arranged by the killers. I thought that was pretty cool, and I wondered if the filmmakers did take inspiration from that. Also, of course, from Stanley Kubrick, as they call him, the Kubrick Killer. I gotta say, the acting was really good. I really enjoyed the acting in the film. Very decent. As I said, Dimitri Papadinas, who plays Alex, convinced me. He did a very good job. He was smart. He was brilliant. He was unassumingly evil. You know, and that's what made him so good in this. He's this typical normal family man, and then he's just a sick motherfucker inside. This isn't really much of a spoiler, but what kills me about it is he has certain friends that know how he is and what it's like. So I'm just like, whoa, what the fuck? Are all these fucking people sick or what? It's smart. It's smart and it's researched. All of the psychological, the medical, and the psychology terms and facts, check out. They really did. Even from when I was in college and I went through some of those courses, I remember some of those terms. And I remember some of the things they were talking about. Not all of it, because that really wasn't my main focus of study. But I took a couple courses, you know. It wasn't just your typical teenager, cannon fodder, stalk and run slasher film. It is a slasher film, and because it's a, you know, it's a serial killer film. And there is some, you know, random killings, random slash. Well, not really random, but he picks his targets. But then he, you know, he kidnaps people and he tortures them and does some weird sexual shit with them, or makes them do it, or, you know, and then kills them all. And he does most of his killings with a knife, but he also uses, like I said, I'm gonna call it the Cole scene, and that's all I'm gonna say about it. But it's definitely one that needs to be seen, and that's where I'm going next. Is the variety of the kills was really cool, really intense, very imaginative, and downright fucking seditious. Love how the story is told through flashbacks. Kind of reminds me of Tarantino-esque almost. And it mixes the current, and then it's kind of hazy, so you don't really know where you are at certain points in the film. But it's done that way to kind of trip you out, and it does really work. In fact, if I was on some drugs on this, it would really fucking trip me. I love the lunatics. When one of the cops visits an insane asylum to speak to a psychiatrist, you know, there's lunatics all over the place, and they're just so the shit they're doing is just funny. I can't imagine what they told these guys, these actors, you know, these extras, whatever, friends. Yeah, guys, just run around and do the nastiest and the craziest and the weirdest shit you think of. You know, just act totally insane, and it really worked. It was really funny. It was a really funny moment in a film that's very, very sadistic and very, very violent and very serious. Guys, I really, really liked the ending. It was unconventional and it was very original. And I don't want to give it away, but man, do I want to talk about it. Do I ever want to talk about it? If you want to know about this ending, hit me up. If you know how to hit me up, and we'll talk about it. And if you ever want me to do another video later, maybe we'll do that where I, you know, give some reveals. But right now, this is a newer Wild Eye film. I want people to go and watch it for themselves, if they choose to watch this kind of thing. The streets run red. I know that Dave said he knows the guys that did this movie. They did a really damn good job. It's shot very well. It's filmed very well. It's lit well. Everything looks trippy and cool. And there's some parts where, you know, you could tell they were limited on budget. Like when you're hearing the gameplay of the Super Bowl and there's nothing on the actual television, they're like, you know, you could just tell that it was limited budget on certain things, and also they didn't want to get sued for something. I like that their announcer for the Super Bowl was just vulgar. It was funny. But guys, this movie, even though I really did like the film, I'm not sure if it's one I'll watch a lot, just because it's not really to my taste when it comes to these kind of films. I don't mind the extreme, especially the gore and the violence, but all the sexual stuff, it's just not my cup of tea. I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me. It's not my thing, you know? This movie more than pushes the envelope, guys. It fucking rips the door off the hinges. It fucking rips the envelope wide open with a letter opener, and then tears it apart, shreds it, and burns the fucking envelope. You know, this movie goes for it. It really does. Definitely check out The Streets Run Red if that's your thing. And check out Wild Eye Releasing, of course, who puts out awesome content. Also check out everybody else doing Slashback Saturday. And Joe, this was a fun theme. And yeah, like I said, maybe I got a little lazy on it, but it was still fun. This is BroncoJuggalo saying peace.